Okay. I'll call the Concord Township Board of Trustees November 1st, 2017 meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Melchewski?
Present.
Mrs. Luda?
Here.
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Okay, official reports. Amy, what do you have for us?
Okay, as of October 31st, we were 83% of the way through the calendar year. Treasury balance for the 20 active funds within the township treasury was $5.7 million. Treasury balance includes approximately $230,000 in funds set aside for specific projects. Year-to-date expenditures were 71% of the amount appropriated for 2017. The revenue received year-to-date is 99% of the amount budgeted. We will not be receiving real estate tax revenue again until the end of the first quarter 2018, so we will need to carry over a minimum of $2.5 million. We have officially joined OhioCheckbook.com with State Treasurer Mandel's office. While we have always made this information available in our minutes, this electronic forum will provide even greater access for our residents. I've been working with the State Treasurer's office for over a year, and I want to thank them and the trustees for their support with this project. Cemetery reminder, after November 1st, only seasonal wreaths may be placed by the graves. We'll be picking up any summer items that remain. The flags will be removed after Veterans Day. If you have any financial questions or cemetery questions, do not hesitate to call me at 354-7516. Thank you.
Amy, do we receive those tax revenue in April? Like the first week of April, or sometimes early in late March?
You never know. We will get an advance sometime in February,
Okay.
typically, to carry us through until it's either the end of March or usually by the 15th of April for sure.
Okay, Connie, anything to report?
Yes, I had a call from a lady today who was complaining about some of the roads, and it turns out they were all county roads.
Auburn and
Morley,
Morley,
Prouty,
Prouty,
and Auburn.
Button, who's Chris?
Just normal inquiries on some township issues like zoning, some of the happenings around the community, things like that.
Right. Well,
Nothing of great.
I had a couple things. I did a couple stormwater issues, and stormwater departments was reimbursed, so hopefully they're able to do one last project before the season ends, but you know, it's a little bit chillier than it is right now, but they could do some stuff in the, you know, in the frozen tundra as time goes on, so they're working on doing that. I guess sometimes it's easier for them to do some of the digging that they have to do. You know, they're not putting roads in.
Right.
And additionally, I think it's important to note that I did meet with Riverside Schools on Monday of this week, and there were 3 consultants there, administrator, treasurer, their attorney, 2 board members. We had probably approximately a 3-hour meeting, a little bit over that. There was another additional couple hours that I spent with our legal counsel afterwards. And then prior to that meeting, there was probably about 1,000 documents that I had an opportunity to take a look at. So, and I looked at those documents prior to going into the meeting, so that meeting probably went a little bit quicker since, you know, I was informed better. So that meeting is unusual because when you're in litigation and there's an exchange of documents prior to us even filing an answer because we just got served. I think Mike would say that it was unusual for such a thing to take place. But again, information was received by me that was something that I never received or saw before. And so the more information, the better. And so it's always positive to get information because you're moving in a positive direction. And so that's about all I could say on that, except that there will be additional information coming to us. There'll be additional discussions, and we'll hopefully work to a better resolution and understanding of where everybody's at.
I appreciate you being our representative as part of that process.
Me too. Thank you.
So, it was a productive meeting, so that's the
Good.
most important thing.
Yes.
And then we're moving the ball forward. With regards to additional items, besides the stormwater, there's nothing else additional. Department reports, Kathy Mitchell.
Thank you. I have 2 items to report on. I'm very happy to report that we have our newly improved website updated, and it is it looks great. If you haven't gone and looked at it, it's concordtwp.com. It has a new design, improved functionality, enhanced content, and a huge difference in improvement in the mobile responsiveness, which was a real flaw with our last system, and we struggled with that. So we're real excited. Again, check it out. All the information is there. I will point out the calendar in particular. There's some things that still need to be tweaked. Staff is going to actually be getting training tomorrow on how to make changes ourselves to the new site. So there is some information on there that is a little bit inaccurate. For example, they're showing we have a staff meeting next week. We actually already had it this week, and that's going to get updated. So just stay tuned, or if you have questions, if it doesn't look right, please ask us. I think overall we're very pleased with it, but I'm sure there's a few kinks we have to work out. So thank you for your patience on that. Secondly, I'm in regular contact with the Ohio Department of Transportation with regard to the timing and the coordination of that at Auburn, Cryle, and 44. They actually put in and installed software, they call it coordination timings, between Capitol Parkway and I-90 westbound. And now they are hopefully running on the same cycle, if you will. However, the timings are still off, and I had another conversation with them this week about that. They actually have consultants that actually focus just on signal operations. They are going to be actually visiting tomorrow or Friday to tweak again the timing of those signals, both at and we've mentioned, everybody's aware of the problem with the blocked condition that occurs when, say, if in the mornings when I take it, if I'm coming to work and I'm southbound on 44 and I want to make a left onto Auburn, there are times when the folks that are coming either from the hospital and they're trying to head north onto 44, you know, the intersection gets blocked. Mm-hmm. They know it's a problem, they know it needs to be fixed, and that is their goal is to make that running in more of an optimal situation. Also, the timing of the arrow, the left turn signal is too short. We know that, we are addressing that, and we have asked them to make sure that that gets changed. The third issue that we have asked them to address is the traffic light at Capitol Parkway onto Cryle. That's been ongoing on and off throughout the year, but now that, again, ODOT has complete control of the project, now that Carvo is off the job, that is their focus, is to work on the signalization. So all I can say is, long story short, we are aware of the problems, and we are working with ODOT to make sure that those get updated, and they are aware of the problems. So thank you also for your patience on that. That's all I have.
Thank you. One quick question. Ohio checkbooks, when we had them here, and we're going to be running that program, you know, it'll be on TV, but there was some glitches in, I guess, the name of the categories. They fixed that?
No, it's all fixed.
Okay.
It's all done.
Yeah.
It had to do with a voided check, so.
Will that pop back up again or
No.
no? Okay.
It's all good. It's all done.
Right.
It was a vendor name. It had nothing to do with the categories.
Okay,
It was-
all right. Very good, thank you. Service Department, Mr. Kraska. Saw some white stuff yesterday.
Yeah, we did, didn't
Do
we?
fire
Yeah.
department?
You didn't do the fire. You have to go
Oh,
back.
That's all right.
He wanted to give Kathy a
Fire department can wait.
yeah, I'll give fire department.
Frank decided.
I'm up there now. I'm not worried about the snow yet, although I am ready to buy salt.
and plot, please.
Yes, you are.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As we wind down our construction season for 2017, it would be accurate to say that we had a successful and productive year. Service Department crews in October completed 900 square yards of concrete replacement on Thatcham Lane, Whitney Lane, and Equestrian Court. Pacheco Cement and Company completed 1,500 square yards of concrete replacement on Gallant Way and Waterfall Way. This combined effort, along with earlier accomplishments this season by the Service Department, combined for the replacement of nearly 5,200 square yards of road surface. Asphalt improvements on Lambton Court, Hobby Horse Development, and Little Mountain Country Club subdivision, combined with the aforementioned concrete improvements to complete a successful road infrastructure program for the year. Another benefit attained that should not be overlooked from the infrastructure program was the trustees and local residential support of retrofitting large paved cul-de-sacs with bioretention islands prior to road improvements to improve local drainage and implement effective stormwater treatment practices prior to entering the stormwater entering tributaries that lead to our Great Lake area. Now in November, this year's curbside leaf pickup will be held the week of November 27th. The collection will begin at 6 a.m. on morning of Monday the 27th. There will be no return trips to pick up bags that were not at the curbside when the collection began. Township-wide collection typically takes 3 to 4 days. Residents are required to supply their own biodegradable leaf bags. After the bags have been filled with leaves only, they should be placed at the curb where the vendor will pick them up. Only bagged leaves will be picked up. No bulk, piled, or leaves in plastic bags or containers will be accepted. The Concord Service Department will also allow for bagged leaves only to be dropped off by township residents at the Service Department yard Thursday, November 2nd through Friday, November 24th. This site is located at 7229 Ravenna Road. You may drop off between the hours of 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. This is in addition to what we've done in the past. And with winter at our doorstep, mailbox snow barricades are available to Concord residents. We have installed 22 recently, and since the inception of the program, we are now at 574 active participants in that program. Applications can be obtained on our website at www.concordtwp.com or stop by Town Hall during business hours, where our staff will be glad to help you. Cost for barricades this year, which includes installation, has remained at $40. Please visit the township website, our new township website, for regular updates, current events, and related information. And in closing, we wish our residents well and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Frank, I just want to remind people, those bioretention on those cul-de-sacs that we did, those plantings are a little immature for now. And so
Correct.
they're going to grow, and if they don't grow, we'll replace them. And I've already talked to Stormwater. Stormwater will work with us in trying to get us some things that will, take off in there. But again, they're just in its infancy, and so let
And
them.
again, we pick plants that are salt tolerant, that are a little bit, they'll, withstand the rigors of winter and stuff, more so than, a delicate plant.
Yeah.
So, and again, it will take, a year to two for them to, fully mature and establish themselves. But, it really enhances, not only is it, helping clean, the water that's running off the road, but it also enhances the neighborhood appearance too, once these fully take place, into their, full.
And I've been around, just let them know that they're going to grow. Okay. So, I
And we
appreciate that.
eliminated over 14,000 square feet of pavement. And it's, that's a lot of area where water would just run straight off and into a ditch and, right down, the creeks and stuff. Whereas these systems collect the water and release it slowly and filter out the pollutants prior to it entering into the creeks and streams.
Thank you.
Okay?
Appreciate it. Kathy, do you want to talk about the fire department?
I would love to.
Thank you.
In the month of October, the total runs are as follows. For motor vehicle accidents, there was a total of 8 agency assist, 24 fire alarm, responses 11, odor investigation 3, basic rescues 29, advanced paramedics 66, public assist 22, structure fires 1, wires down 4. Under the Fire Prevention Bureau, they completed a total of 8 plan reviews, 18 annual inspections, 11 follow-ups, 3 site inspections, and 26 fire protection system testings. As for public education, they had 1 Knox box installation and overview. They attended or participated and taught at 13 public education events, and also 2 consultations. I don't know if you want to do the POs right now. He put that in here, or you want to wait till later? Request PO to
On the camera.
Warren Fire Equipment for $9,738.
Well, I would make a motion to approve PO 71-2017 to Warren Fire Equipment in the amount of $9,738. And this is replacing a thermal imaging camera.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And also, he is requesting that the trustees accept the resignation of part-time Lieutenant Joseph Warner effective October 30th, 2017.
I'll move to accept with regret the resignation of Joe Warner.
And we wish him well
Yes.
in his other endeavors. So good things. So seconded.
Last item, he just...
Hold
Oh,
on.
I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, he'll be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Chief Sabo just wanted to point out the reason for his absence. On Saturday, June 3rd of this year, Concord Fire was requested to respond to University Hospital's urgent care on Auburn Road for a male having chest pain. EMS arrived at the patient's side at 11:12 a.m. Both the on-site physician and EMS quickly concluded that the patient was having a heart attack. EMS immediately made contact with the cardiologist at UH Geauga Medical Center and electronically transmitted all data, including 12 lead EKG, to the physician. The patient was transported to UH Geauga, and care was transferred directly to the team in the cath lab at 11:46 a.m. That was just over a half hour later. University Hospitals has invited Chief Sabo to the Harrington Heart and Vascular Institute's Heart Heroes Celebration this evening, which required his absence here. This is an opportunity to connect heart patient survivors with their healthcare provider teams, including EMS, nurses, technicians, and physicians. It is his honor to be able to join this patient as University Hospital celebrates his life and survival. That's all I have.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Matt was not the chief, but a lieutenant, and came in this room when they introduced, and UH introduced the 12 leads to the system, and it was a morning, because we're not here that often in the morning, and I remember being here in the morning when that was introduced, and so that's awesome. All right, we will go to zoning department. Heather Freeman.
Hi, good evening. During the month of October, the zoning department processed 35 zoning permits applications, and that brings our year-to-date to 389 permits. In October, we approved 8 accessory buildings, 3 residential additions, 1 agricultural building, 1 change in use, 2 commercial building alterations, 5 decks, 5 single-family dwellings, 8 fences, 1 in-ground pool, and 1 accessory structure. Also, just to let you know that the Zoning Commission is going to be meeting next week on November 7th at the Town Hall at 7 p.m. They'll be reviewing a site plan review and design review application for the last phase of the Crowd Crossing Retail Center, where Chipotle will be built on an out parcel. They will also be reviewing the site plan review and design review application for the proposed relocation of the Cryle Road hardware store. And finally, they will have a work session that is planned to discuss some potential zoning amendments. The detailed agendas may be found on the Concord Township website. And also next week, the Board of Zoning Appeals will have a meeting on November 8th at Town Hall at 7 p.m. and they will be hearing 4 applications for variance request. Their application can also be found on our website. That's it.
Thank you. Rec department. Deborah Oscar.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've got problems tonight. thanks to everyone who participated in Concord Township's annual Halloween haunt at Gristmill Village Thursday evening. The weather held out as hundreds of costume kids trick-or-treated their way around the shopping center. The Recreation Department is deeply grateful to the Gristmill businesses for once again warmly welcoming our guests and providing treats to this wonderful family-friendly event. As requested by the trustees, we polled parents at the Halloween haunt about Halloween 2018 and asked, since Halloween is on a Wednesday in 2018, what's your preferred day for trick-or-treating in Concord Township? 10% of parents preferred Sunday evening for trick-or-treating, 16% preferred Friday, 28% preferred Saturday, but the largest percentage preferred Halloween itself on October 31st, regardless of the day of week, 46%. If anyone didn't participate in the Halloween haunt but would like to share their opinion on Halloween 2018, please just email or call the trustees or the Recreation Department directly. In November, the Recreation Department classes begin to focus on the holidays. Relieve stress, create beautiful handmade gifts, or learn a new skill by taking Tai Chi for balance and relaxation, essential oils, make and take sprays for the holidays, Mahjong, the ancient Chinese tile-based game of skill and luck, Gifts of Herbs cooking class, Gobble Up Goodness kids cooking class, create a beautiful embroidered sunflower tea towel or a unique stained glass Christmas tree. There are still places available in all of the classes, so sign up today. The annual Concord Township Photo Contest is currently underway. Photos are displayed at Vista Springs Quail Highlands Assisted Living Facility at 7960 Auburn Road through Tuesday, November 9th. Stop by to see the photos and vote in person, or view photos and vote online on our brand new website, concordtwp.com. Winners of the photo contest will be announced on Tuesday, November 14th. And I gotta say, every year I'm amazed at the talent of our our local artists, and this year is no exception. It's really worth your while to go online, take a look at the photos, vote. It'll blow you away. It's just gorgeous. The 55 group was treated to a presentation on the history of the Morley Library this afternoon. Our next 55 group gathering will be Wednesday, November 15th, where we'll host a special Paint and Punch workshop. A local artist will guide the guests through painting a personal masterpiece while they enjoy punch and light refreshments. Our first ever Concord Consolidated School reunion will be held this Saturday, November 4th, beginning at the Old Stone School at 10:30 a.m. and then moving over to the Riverside Maintenance Building at 11:30 a.m., which used to be a Concord school. So if you were a student, staff, or faculty member of a Concord Township school from 1923 through the early 80s, we encourage you to come to this special gathering to reminisce and share Concord history. And our first ever fall bridal show is Sunday, November 12th from noon to 4 p.m. at the Community Center. Admission is free and open to all, so if you already set the date or just want to get some great party planning ideas and resources, please join us. Vendors attending include Say Yes to Her Dress, the bridal store on Mentor Avenue, Up and Away Designs, Bouquets by Becky, Eventistry, Cupcakes by Sandra Sue, Vibe Entertainment, MK Photography, Julie Elizabeth Event Styling, Lake Erie Limo, and much more. It's an event worth going to. In October, Connie Luda, Dan Maxon, who's our Old Stone School docent, and I met with a man named Rob Morrison, who's a resident of Concord, Massachusetts. Rob's touring as many of the Concords throughout the United States as he can, and he was in our neck of the woods a few weeks ago. So we shared information about our township, and he gave us these awesome t-shirts. That's the front of their t-shirt, and that's the back of their t-shirt. I wish I'd thought of that first. I came, I saw, I conquered. I love it. So we wish Rob,
Well, it works more when you're in New England and they pronounce it Concord.
That's true. That's true.
Ohio tends to be more Concord.
You know, that flat A Midwestern accent. So we wish Rob well on his adventures. We hope he keeps us informed, and we'll certainly try to stay in touch.
How many are there, did he tell you?
Well, 7 in Ohio, but
Yes.
I don't know.
Hundreds.
Yeah, he's making his way.
Yes.
Hundreds.
Hundreds. Remember this Sunday, November 5th, is daylight savings time, so be like, share, and turn back time before going to bed on Saturday night. All of this information and more can be found in the fall edition of the Township newsletter, the Concord Grapevine, and on the Concord Township's new website, concordtwp.com, or contact the Recreation Department directly at 440-639-4650. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deb.
All right, Sergeant Butler, can you do a share reference in your report?
I can't follow that.
No, no. Everyone's required to not make a share reference.
He does have a photographic memory, though. I know. Come on up here and give your report, Sergeant.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sergeant Brian Butler from the Sheriff's Office. The activity for October 2017 for the Sheriff's Office, we recorded 1,368 calls for service. Of those calls, there were 4 injury accidents, 10 property damage accidents. We had 4 arrests for disorderly conduct, 1 arrest for domestic violence. We responded to 46 alarm drops and conducted 254 business checks. There were 319 crime preventions. Traffic, we issued 13 citations, 56 warnings, 1 driving under suspension. The new investigations that have begun, there's an abuse case, 4 assaults, 1 breaking and entering, 1 breaking and entering to a vehicle, 2 burglaries, 1 drug offense, 1 sex offense, 1 shoplifting, 20 thefts, 3 threats, 1 trespassing, 1 vandalism, and 2 stolen vehicle complaints.
Sergeant, your investigations go to the Detective Bureau?
It depends on the investigation. There's some investigations that
Will stay?
they contact us for that are simple documentation, and other cases that require further follow-up will either go to the Detective Bureau depending on the extent of the investigation.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Okay, we'll take us to the audience portion. Mr. Paul, you plan on talking today? Well, you come on up. Well, we're going to limit to 3 minutes, okay?
3 minutes, I'll go.
Okay.
One quick question. My name is Ron Call, I live on Grove Road. We have a problem with somebody dumping broken concrete and gravel dump truck loads in the northwest corner of 608 Grove Road. I wonder if anybody knows about that.
All right, we'll look at it.
Yeah,
That's not legal, I don't believe.
It is not.
No,
certainly not.
So. All right,
We'll look into it.
thank you.
Sergeant Butler is on it.
Also, I want to be sure that there's signs keep posting on the corner there, on the northeast corner. And, I mean, if they keep going up there, I might as well put a billboard up there and make some money on it. They're posting signs there for, one's a website, one was up there for garbage pickup, one was for a dumpster.
Oh, on your property, on
Yeah.
the corner, they're putting up signs.
Yeah, they're putting signs up there.
Various business signs.
Yeah. All right. The main reason I was here is because of the real estate tax. And people with fixed income have another real estate increase brought on by our state legislatures. And I don't know if anybody knows about this, but they're doing away with a homestead exemption. And that's for people who hit 65 in 2017. And there's a limit of $31,800. If you make less than that, I guess you can keep the homestead. But if you make more than that, you're going to lose the exemption. And my taxes, that's about 10% of my tax, the gross tax. They've also done away with the state legislatures have done away with the credits on your real estate taxes. So any new renewals that come up, well, it's actually a tax increase, and the signs are up there saying no tax increase. Well, it is a tax increase. Your money's going to go out. I guess that's it. There's 2 subjects mainly.
Okay.
They did away with homestead exemption and the credit on your
All
income
right.
tax.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, anybody else behind Mr. Call?
Yes, I've been a Concord resident for 31 years.
Excuse me, please state your name and your
Oh,
address,
I'm-
please.
Yeah.
Connie Dankovich, and I'm on 7301 on Pine Hill Road. I've been a Concord resident for 31 years. I've lived on Pine Hill for 20. And I've come here to seek your assistance, if I can get any, for the water main breaks that we've had on our street. I don't know if any of you have had that, but we have had, on an average, of 3 to 4 water main breaks a year. The water is just automatically shut off. They say nothing. We've been supposed to have a replacement of the line 3 years ago. And I've been trying, even talking with Mr. Malcheski. I just keep getting a runaround where, you know, they're not really giving any answers. Now they're saying it's not even on for 2018. When you boil the water and you have a cup of tea, it looks like your cup has been dirty and not washed for a week. That is a concern. We don't drink the water. Many people on our street do not drink the water. They've said, I'm sure, I've asked him, I've said, is there some asbestos concrete in that piping? And he said, possibly, probably. That's not reassuring.
Why is that funny?
No, I'm laughing because you're absolutely right. That is terrible.
Yeah. Who would feed that to your child? Give it to them to drink. And I get no answers. When we had to have our hot water tank replaced, the plumber who replaced it said he never saw such black gunk in the bottom of a tank. I mean, something has to be done. Somebody has to give an answer. Today I spoke with Frank McGeehan, and he was absolutely no help.
Where's Frank from?
He's the head of the Painesville Water Department there.
Okay.
He told me then to call a Randy Brubeck. He's the director of infrastructure in Lake County, he said, and see if I could get any answers from him. But I'm here to see if anyone can give some assistance in seeking that.
Yeah, Connie, I'll tell you this, because you and I have spoke, and then Kathy, if you want to chime in a little bit, because Kathy has, our administrator has been kind of working on this. So, Painesville Water supplies that line.
Yes.
And I've been down there, and I don't know if you've ever seen how the line is prepared.
Yes.
You know, when they break it open, you know, the line is I think it's an 8-inch line. It's about that thick.
We had
Okay.
one break right out in front of our
Right.
house, which was very close to the gas line.
Right. So they go down there and dig around it. They actually take a hatchet, you know, and the hatchet is, you know, and they chip around it. You can see the
Right.
hole, and they put a clamp. And the clamp's about this wide. It goes right around it.
Mhm.
It's got a seal, and they bolt it down there. That's how they fix those main breaks.
Right.
And they inspect a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and then they close it up. And then the time that you and I talked, and they were down in the hole, and another one break right next to it.
They've had that break in that same spot, I think maybe 12 times in that same spot.
That, you know, and it's
So
right,
how
it's
are they,
right
you
on the
know,
bottom, right on the curb, you know, and it's like you know, putting your finger there and it busts here.
it's at different spots. And honestly, after they paved the road on our street, which Concord pays for,
Yeah.
it's been broken up many times by Painesville Township, and now has little
Yeah.
ruts every place that
Yeah.
it's been. But, I mean, it is ridiculous how many times
And-
it breaks.
And again, I want to give you at least an idea of what is going on there. Painesville Water owns that line. They have an agreement that has to be re-signed with the county, I believe sometime next year.
It expires at the end of 2018.
And next year, I've talked to Jason Boyd. Jason Boyd is the county administrator. So you got three trustees, you got 3 commissioners. Jason Boyd's their administrator.
Yeah, he told me there was nothing more he could do, that it
Well-
had to go to Painesville Water.
It's Painesville's water, but like I said, and I think you're doing exactly what needs to be done, is that there has to be continued pressure by the trustees and by the county
Yes.
to get them to do that. I believe, and I didn't count them all, but there's about at least 60 residents that would serve that water line.
Mm-hmm.
That's about right.
And it's a fairly long trunk line that
Yes,
goes up
it
there,
is.
and it's got some terrain. At least the position I have in the discussion that we had just recently, which is not
Right.
what we talked to our legal counsel yet about, but the discussion really is that, you know, what is it that the township could do to assist them in getting this done, and do they have the ability to go ahead and reimburse us if we're able to do that? And that's been floated out there. That's something that has never been officially put on the table, but there's some consideration. Because
And,
quite
you know,
frankly.
they don't give you any warning. You could be in the shower, you could be anywhere. The water is just, you're doing something in the house. I mean, I've been in the shower. How many times I was late for work? I mean, when I worked, and you go into work and you say, I had a water main break again. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I really believe that. And I said, call Painesville Water if you don't believe me.
And the day that you had that break, there were 7 and 8 of them.
We were without water that day, 8 days, 8 hours, I mean.
But there were 7 to 8 breaks, I think, throughout the township, and I think some of that was in Quail, and then I'm in Painesville water line. That water line broke there that day. So, and they got lots of calls there. But it's something that we will continue to just. I mean, you and I have talked several times. I keep on top of them. The idea that I had is being researched and determined, but the question becomes really, is there an ability for the township to go ahead and help facilitate that and we be reimbursed? Because quite frankly, it's, on the one hand, Painesville Water's problem, but it's our residents' problem, so what do we do to fix it?
We used to have to test our water, like not run your water from midnight
Mhm.
until like 7 in the morning and then put it in a little container outside your door.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I know.
it doesn't make you feel comfortable drinking the water, so you don't. I mean, I told him frankly, I said, I'm paying $30 a month just going out buying water just to drink that I should be getting in my water.
Connie, we discussed this actually yesterday in staff meeting. This topic came up, and what Paul is discussing was part of the conversation of, is there something that the township is able to do in terms of infrastructure? I don't know the answer to that from a legal standpoint yet, because it's not our infrastructure, it's
When
City
there
of
was
Painesville.
someone heading the department before we were in Painesville, it was a George, and I can't remember his last name.
Yeah.
But we were supposed to have the water line replaced 3 years ago.
It-
He said
it
the
was
money
actually-
was set aside.
It was supposed to be done before that, and even before that, and it's
They
been
said it
delayed.
was the developer that put in,
Yeah, I will.
that wasn't,
Well, I
that
think,
wasn't put, the right pipe wasn't put in?
well, I guess
or-
my understanding is the issue was the pipe that was put in all those years ago. I don't know that anybody knew that the soil acidity in that area eats through that type of pipe, and that's why there's all these breaks
Right.
happening. Beyond what Paul is talking about in terms of our trying to find out, and from an infrastructure standpoint, what we can or cannot do, there's also the question for us in terms of the franchise agreement. So the City of Painesville has that agreement to serve water there, and it's granted to them by the county and the county commissioners. And that is up, as Paul mentioned, at the end of 2018. So the county and the city are right now in the process of negotiating that franchise extension. The city wants to extend that franchise. And I will be frank, our discussion internally is whether or not we are going to either A, object to it, or I've actually had some preliminary conversations with the commissioners about whether or not, if you're going to extend it, can you force them to make the
Right.
repairs before you grant them the extension on it? Because right now, our problem is, of course, is your elected representatives in Concord, is that we don't have a dog in that hunt, other than
Right.
the fact that you're our resident.
Right, and that's
so it's
why
not
I'm
our
out there,
infrastructure,
I
the
get no
commissioners.
help from them.
Right, and the commissioners grant the franchise. So I view this as a perfect opportunity for us to be able to inject ourselves and say, we may object to this whole thing and raise a ruckus if you don't get some guarantees to get some relief there. So we're trying to look at it from two different angles in terms of how we can try to affect some changes for you guys, because I can't even imagine how I feel your
a knock on
pain.
your door would be nice to say the water's going to be off in
Right.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
But there's no warning, none whatsoever.
And that's not good, and we will talk to them about that. If another one occurs, that you've got to go up and down the road and let people know.
You have to.
You can't. And I don't know if there's I don't know if there's they shut it off, a protocol thing, and so before anybody can get to all the houses. I
Well,
don't know what the-
sometimes it runs for hours before anybody comes to shut it off, so obviously they're not worried about an extra 15 minutes.
Listen, I found a water main break on Auburn Road back in the summer, down the road from my house, where I had driven by it in the morning and seen what it had rained. It was raining,
Right.
so I had seen this water trickling across the road, and I thought, boy, that's an odd place for all this rainwater to be coming out of the woods. So I came home back like around 7 o'clock at night, and it was still flowing down the road. So I called folks that I know in Painesville, and I said, hey, I stopped, and because now I'm like, okay, that's not right. It hasn't been raining for 8 hours. Why is there still all this water coming out of the woods?
Yes.
And so I called and I said, you've got a water main break that's been going on here for like 10 hours. And they said, really, no one's called it in. And so
Probably afraid the water gets shut
they
off.
had no idea, right? So we had to let Ellison Creek know, because it was somehow the pressure was such that it wasn't even, people weren't being affected, or they were just getting home from work and they didn't realize it. But Painesville didn't have a mechanism that told them that it was rolling out of there and into a creek. They had to have lost hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. And they weren't aware that on the system, there was nothing telling them, an alarm or anything saying, hey, you're draining all the towers and all the infrastructure, all this water is pouring out. So I know that technology, at least as it relates to their system, doesn't exist, because I discovered that this summer, and I had always assumed it probably did.
I thought so too, and that's when I realized it did after that issue.
So, I mean, that's going to be our approach. Is a two-prong. One, looking at the infrastructure question and what we can do, and then two, discussing with the county and whether or not we're going to officially, object. And if we do that, we may ask all of you folks on Pine Hill to write statements and things like that to back that up, to be able to submit to that.
Right.
Because the extension of that franchise agreement will be the decision of the commissioners. Now, my thought process is, if Painesville is unable or unwilling to fix the infrastructure for our residents, then I would much prefer that franchise agreement go to an entity that will commit to doing that, be it another, the county taking it over, another public entity, or, maybe even Aqua Ohio or somebody. So, that's my thought process on
But
it.
any help you can give.
And I appreciate you coming here, because this is the kind of thing that helps us in our case when we go and talk to the commissioners and say, look, this is a real thing for these people.
thank you.
Did you sign in so we have your address?
Yes.
Okay,
Cool.
So then we'll follow up, and I think the first thing to do is probably just, maybe we'll just pen our thoughts now, and we will send it to the county, we will CC you, and if you want to, bird dog us or bird dog them, but we will follow up. But I think the first thing to do is probably just have a joint meeting. The county, the county administrator, the township, and Painesville Water, and see where we're going to go on this matter, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Well, that's not very reassuring. I just hooked up to city water 2 weeks ago.
I have no comment on that.
Okay.
But I have a well, so.
Yeah, well, I did. I do.
I will
still.
tell you, my well water is not that great.
Oh, mine wasn't.
And I have a really nice system filtering it.
All right, any additional audience?
Hi, Vanessa Pesic, 11705 Cali Court. I'll keep it short tonight. You've put on the ballot Concord tax levy increases of about 36% over the years. Do you have any plans to decrease our taxes?
Okay, anybody else? Okay.
Hey, we do have we were just talking about that.
Wait,
Come on up.
Come on, Mr. Call.
Yeah, sorry.
We got a court reporter here, we got put you on the record again.
Want me to put my
Go
name
ahead.
down again?
No, I'm Mr. Call.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, you were talking about that water level thing where there's a record, there should be a record of that
Sure.
water being used excessively.
Sure.
There is one. There's a fire plug in front of my house that periodically gets hit. And they're out there within 24 hours to shut that thing off.
Is it pains of water?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they tell me they have a record because they're concerned about contractors tapping into the water line. So they do keep track of that.
Okay, good, thank you.
Probably shouldn't get in trouble.
My name's Dario Majosic. I live at 6993 Sturbridge. Today I come up to you not to question anybody or make a dig, making a request from the community. Recently we've seen the trustees and the township increase their request for citizen input after some of it being from citizen demand regarding township concerns, economic concerns. These attempts to increase citizen input have been through Facebook, Nextdoor, township websites, and the Grapevine, and we appreciate that. As a community, we expect this to continue post-election, relevant to whoever the trustees are. We think it's important that a huge attempt is made to involve the community, even if we're able to just come to the township meetings. We'd like to be notified of as much as possible going on in the community. I personally feel the trustees should take that personally, to make it a point to go above and beyond and try and educate the community and keep us involved. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Gina Ciani, 10925 Quail Hollow Drive. I'm here, this is kind of a good follow-up from the previous person, because this is my first time speaking at a meeting, and I want to clear up a misconception that I think is being thrown about in the community, and that is that some of the citizens who are not showing up to meetings and not voicing their opinion are behaving that way because they are uninformed, or something that this administration is doing is not being transparent. I am here to speak for myself and for several of the people that I know to say that is not at all how we feel. There is a large group of us that feels perfectly informed. We call and ask questions. You are always very responsive. We thank you for the efforts that this administration has done in terms of putting the meetings online and putting the transcripts online, increasing the circulation of the Grapevine. We are very grateful for that. And I want to a second point is that there is such negativity in our township, unlike anything I have ever seen. And I'm on social media, and I'm trying to state my case and my opinions on social media. But I wanted to come here and I wanted to do that because I am hearing constantly that businesses that are failing is because of the trustees. ODOT issues are because of the trustees. Frankly, the sky is falling and it's because of the trustees. And what I'm not hearing is the fact that over the past 12 years, there is a large group of us as citizens who want to thank you for the positive efforts that you've made. The fact that we have increased safety forces, services, the technology and the EMS that my own mother has benefited from by riding in those ambulances. The fact that you have had the forethought years ago to put forth this emergency flood plan before we even had an emergency. And Lake County, if I'm not mistaken, the command center was here in our township. Right. That shows forethought, that shows leadership. Very often there's the squeaky wheel that will come in and complain, but it's the rest of us that don't come in and thank you for your efforts. That's the purpose of me coming in today. And the fact that we are fiscally sound in a time when municipalities all around us are not, when funds have been decreased to help us, and you guys have managed to keep us not only fiscally sound, but we have had surpluses. I'm watching these things quietly, but I'm watching them over the years. And we've seen that we've squeezed out extra road construction. We've done extra things with surpluses. That's unheard of, at least from what I've seen. And we are very fortunate for that. The JED, nobody seems to argue about the JED. I think everybody agrees that that was huge. The revenue, the 4.5 million that it's brought in already, that has not gone unnoticed. And I feel that you have been sometimes beaten down at particularly some of these public meetings. And I want to stand up as the other side that says, we appreciate it. We appreciate that we're fiscally sound. We appreciate the efforts that you've made. You have shown forethought and sound leadership. And I hope that continues and that you can take us into the future.
Time's up, but thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any additional comments? Ms. Cruz.
Hi, my name is Denny Cruz. I live at 7291 Mountain Quail Place. I've heard, and this is a question for the trustees, that there is a memorandum of understanding between the trustees and a private landowner on Auburn Road for the sale of approximately 4 acres of land for $4.5 million. And I would like some clarification on that. Maybe, is that true?
It's not true, but I could.
It's not true?
I could explain.
I'll walk you through that.
Okay, good. Okay, I would like that. Thank you.
Anything else? I'm gonna close the public portion. When we purchased 7 acres, and we were sending it out for an RFP, we asked if any other individuals, any property owners around us would like to join in entertaining offers for their property. And 4 entities did. They signed memorandums of understanding with the township, the JED, which included Paynesville and Concord Township, of suggesting that when developer, they would entertain an offer from a developer. And they put their pie in the sky price of what they would like, so to speak, their initial demand out there. There are some that put it for $900,000. There's one that put one for $450,000.
Well, it's whatever they feel that they're.
And Mr. I'm sorry, the entity which is Capra is the one who suggested that they wanted $4.5 million for their property. Now, their reason for that is I think there's existing businesses on there, and you know, when someone comes in, they're never going to go higher than your first demand, and so he put his price high, which is fine.
Well, just to make something very clear, the MOU that Mr. Cruz is referencing, as you mentioned, was a document of these property owners that have property that they are interested in selling. It's either on the market actively or they are interested in selling at some point. And they asked to be a part of the RFP to let any developer that might be interested or someone that might be interested in purchasing their land be aware that that they are interested in selling it. It was advised to us by legal that we should do this understanding since the township was putting out the RFP, and therefore we would need some agreement from the property owners that were property that the township did not control to say, yes, we'd like to be a part of this process. As part of that document asks them to say, from an informational standpoint, let us know what you believe your property is worth. So that's what the signers of the memorandum of understanding put down. They all put down their own dollar amounts of what they believe their property is worth. That document does not, despite misinformation, indicate that the township has committed to purchasing any land for $4.5 million. The township has not agreed to purchase that land. Let me say it one more time. The township has not agreed to purchase any land at any dollar amount.
Well, in fact, having drafted those memorandums of understanding, all you have to do is read them. There's nothing about the misinformation that was conveyed at the last meeting about what was inferred that the township was buying it. It's not a long legal document. It's not that complicated. you read it and you understand what's being said here right now. And I know because I wrote it.
It's an option then.
To read it? Sure.
No.
It's not an option to
No, they just
purchase.
said, read
It's
the
not
option
a-
tonight. How do you get that?
It's not a purchase agreement or
Or an option.
or an option. It's, you know, if we're sending out an RFP and we're asking someone to make an offer on the piece of property that Concord Township has, these people are also joining us and saying, hey, you can make us an offer as well. Now,
Not us, not the township.
yes, not the township, but the individuals, the individual property owners. The township was not going to purchase those pieces of property. It's a memorandum of understanding and a joint effort to entertain offers.
Well, it lets the developer, potential developer, know that there's more land available
And what they're interested in.
and what
Yes.
they're interested in
That's it.
selling for.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
You wrote it. Is it an option to purchase property?
No.
No.
I don't know how you can contort it and say it is an option.
Well, reading comprehension is hard, I guess.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Vanessa had a question. That was the other one. Plan to decrease our taxes. I don't know about your number given on the increases. Any levy that's obviously been before the township is voted on by the people of the township. So, for example, the safety services levy that was voted on by and in favor of by 70% of the residences. That's being used to fund our fire department and our law enforcement contract with the sheriff's office. As it relates to, future needs and taxes, the idea has always been the creation of the JED that we did in 2008 was to be able to grow that over time so that it would provide a counterbalance revenue source that would be used to offset future fiscal needs. It did that to a degree during the recession when we saw somewhere between 10 and 15% of our revenue cut from the state for the purposes of balancing their own budget, be it eliminating the estate tax, tangible personal property tax, and then obviously the reduction in the valuations on property. All of that culminated in about a significant reduction to the amount of revenue the township is seeing. The idea of the JED is for in the future, in the event that there are those types of fiscal challenges in the future, the JED would be able to would be a revenue source that would be able to counterbalance any of those cuts. And as it grows, and reminding folks that even though it's 9 years old, it is truly, and it's still in its infancy and growing. We've added more JED partners this year. With the idea being over time, it will be able to be a nice counterbalance as it relates to the need for future tax increases. And I've said this, 100 times in these meetings, but any community that wants to have good long-term sustainability and good tax balance needs to have a good balance between residential revenue and commercial revenue, and that the township has only 8% of its property zoned as commercial. The JED is part of the idea of maximizing those revenue streams to make sure that we have balance. The examples that I always give of communities that have very little commercial, Willowick, Menor on the Lake, it's not a coincidence that they have the highest property taxes in the county. So our goal is to continue to expand the JED, use those dollars to offset costs. We've done other things as well in terms of tax increment financing for infrastructure. We've done things like EMS billing in our very first year as trustees, which helped to pay for, we've bought a couple of ambulances based on that revenue. And so there's a lot of those things that you do to try to manage the growth in costs, and so that you don't have to be coming back to folks again and again for additional tax revenues. And the best example I can give you based on that sort of fiscal responsibility is, you know, our friends next door in Painesville Township. How many fire and EMS levies do they have, Amy?
A lot.
Well, how many? I mean, it's 8, 9?
No, I don't think it's that many.
I mean, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
We have 2.
They put on continuous levies every 4 years,
Right.
4 to 5 years.
So they have like 8 levies funding their fire department, and we have 2. And I think that we've you know, demonstrated an ability to manage those costs and those revenue streams.
So I'd like to say that, you know, through December 31st, and this information is online every month, you know, the revenue, we've received 9.6 million. We've spent 9.3. We don't have a lot of excess. The reason we have the carryover, which should be 2.5 to 3 million, is because I don't get money in, a significant amount of money in, until the end of the first quarter. We have payroll, we have BWC taxes. There's a lot of significant expenses in the first quarter that we have every year, snow plowing, that we have to pay for before we get any new revenue. So it's a continuous cycle. The last couple of years, it's been, you know, close, but at least on my watch, you know, we're trying to underspend what we get for revenue, so.
I think probably the most important, I want to just kind of talk, I mean, with regards to increases in levies, those are voted on by the public as a whole. And what we've always presented to them, and then probably more specifically, the safety forces levy, and it was a combined levy that both funds the sheriff's department and a portion of the fire department. And the purpose of that was because the firefighters and the sheriff's department work hand in hand together. There's a fire, sheriff's department is there directing traffic, assisting and stabilizing the outside of that area. And when there's a wreck that the sheriff's department responds to, fire department and then responds as well. So they work hand in hand together. But when you look at infrastructures, and we've had some discussion about having our own Concord police force, when we were able to contract with the sheriff's department, we got ourselves 2 guys, 24/7, 7 days a week, which is really like buying 8 officers. And the result of that is that if you put a new police department in, you would have $4 to $5.5 million infrastructure costs for that new police force. And then additionally, probably $2 to $2.5 million is what Madison Township should spend on their force. And we are adequately protected now because of that vote and the monies that are spent on sheriff services. And then the additional thing is with regards to the fire department, EMS, the infrastructure that we put in and we spend is with our, you know, the firefighters themselves and our squads and our fire trucks. You know, one of the things that I always stayed away from is you see entities, and Painesville Township was one of them, that built these, and Madison Township was another one, that built these huge monstrosities of firehouses, and the result of it is that their services suffer because of the burden of the cost of those things. And all we do is we put money in the infrastructure and in the personnel to make sure that we're adequately protected. I think that's why, you know, the residents vote for the increase, you know, the increase in levies that were there. With regards to roads, the dollars and cents that we have additional are put back into those roads.
Right.
The more cement, the more asphalt that you could buy, the more road repair we can do. And we try to squeeze something in every year, an additional thing. This year we're able to squeeze in, I think, additional stormwater projects, additional concrete projects on the road. You know, I think you gotta equate the levies with what you get for those levies and what is being put back into, you know, back into the township. And I think as you look at that and you analyze that, all those dollars and cents are put back in there each year to making sure there's more and more roads paved, there's more and more roads repaired, there's more and more safety forces on the streets. There's more and more EMS runs. So again, I think what the result of the JED and the JED revenues do is stabilize all those areas and making sure that we're able to kind of continue to provide the same service at a stable cost, which I think we've done.
Well, and I have to say, since 2008, and even now that we have, a little bit more, we're not running so tight in the service department. Frank and I are working on a lot of OPWC grants. So we're able to go for those larger grants because we can, for instance, we've got a pending one for next year for $890,000 in Far Hills. So if that goes through and we get that and we actually fund that, we'll get $400,000 back. I mean, we can do those bigger projects and get more things done because, we're not at the bare minimum. So.
And roads are expensive. I mean, they're getting more and more
Well,
expensive.
Yeah.
And they're full depth repairs because now the roads are older and they're going to need the infrastructure that's underneath them, and they're just not overlaid. So.
Connie.
I want to say something.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I have to fight to get a word in. I just want to say that this is my 26th year as trustee, and I want to thank Amy and Paul and Chris for being the most efficient, best team that I've worked with, because they look forward beyond their term to the future of Concord Township, and they're very efficient and very, very hardworking for Concord Township. Thank you.
So my answer to Vanessa is yes, I would look forward to a day when we can cut some of those property taxes because the JED revenue is so substantial. And then my other response to that would be is if you want to cut something like the road levy or the fire levy now, what are those roads you're not repairing now? And what are those EMS services you don't want providing now? Those are real world decisions that we have to deal with.
That's right.
So, should we get on to?
Yeah, October financial statements. Chris?
I move that we approve the October financial statements that were provided to us by our fiscal officer.
And I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will entertain Resolution 2017-31 authorizing the Board of Trustees to enter into an agreement with Davie Resource Group in accordance with the case settlement with Stewart and Company Investment Group LLC for the completion of the Capital Parkway Improvement Project.
So moved.
I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will entertain a vote for a renewed depository agreement with First Federal of Lakewood through December 1st of 2022.
I will approve that and point out that that will be our 200th anniversary as a township in 2022.
I'll let them know.
You second that, Ken?
Yes, I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, entertain a resolution 2017-32 of permanent appropriations and ask that that motion include a roll call as we have those permanent annual appropriation resolution in front of us at our desk.
Okay. I move that we approve Resolution 2017-32.
Chris, you want to second that?
I reviewed this earlier this evening, and I second that.
Roll call?
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Malczewski?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to Service Department PO 72-2017 to Cargill in the amount of $20,000 for Clear Lane Road salt.
So moved.
I would point out that this is an additive that will help with the other salt that we buy in much larger quantities in terms of the freezing point. So I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, I will entertain a motion for executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation. And we will ask for a roll call on that.
Mr. Chairman, I will make that motion.
I'll second that.
Amy?
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Melchewski?
Yes.
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Okay, we will return at a later time. Well,
You want to read the, you want to do the future meetings and announcements?
you can read those.
Okay. On Tuesday, November 7th at 7 PM, our zoning commission meeting will be held here at Town Hall. Wednesday, November 8th at 7 PM, we'll have the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting here at Town Hall. Friday, November 10th, will be closed in observance of Veterans Day. Saturday, November 11th at 9 AM, we're going to be holding a public auction down by the service garage. So you want to come in the back, keep going down by the orange plow. Wednesday, November 15th at 6:30 PM and at 7 PM, the trustees' regularly scheduled office hours and trustee meetings here at the conference room in Town Hall will be canceled. So our next meeting will be December 6th.
Is that the first meeting of the
That will be the
calendar?
first meeting of December.
December
I don't have my
6th.
phone.
December 6th, yes.
December 6th at 6:30 PM will be trustee office hours, and December 6th, 7:30 PM, trustee meeting here at Town Hall.
Really quick, I would point out for anybody that has AT&T UVerse, we did get notification today that the State of Ohio Department of Commerce has renewed AT&T's video franchise for that UVerse TV service in Concord and other areas, and it is effective through October 13th of 2027. So just to point that out. And then since we will not be back here before residents before Thanksgiving, which seems like a long time,
Yeah.
I would say to everybody, Happy Thanksgiving.
Right.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We'll see you.
Here, I've got POs for you guys to sign. Okay. Sorry.
Bring those.